Hello and welcome to Kings Norton Junction, where the Worcester and Birmingham Canal meets the end of the North Stratford Canal. And I'm here to meet a man whose job it is to move narrowboats for other people. He is, quite literally, paid to go narrowboating. This is the boat he's taking for the next few days. Scarlet Lady, built 3 years ago by Swan Narrowboats. It has a rather unusual Dutch barge-like bow, and the forward cabin comes right up to the end with no well deck, so as to maximise internal space. The bulbous stern is untraditional too, but I don't know why it's that shape. Here's our boat mover, Connor Warner, casting off the forward lines and preparing to move off. He's got a long journey ahead of him, having to do a massive detour to take this boat north out of Birmingham due to a lock flight being closed for maintenance. So he's keen to get started. With the lines removed, the bow is pushed out. A little help with alignment from the bow thruster and Connor can set off. He's in a hurry, but he's also very careful not to speed. The North Stratford Canal is notable for having the remains of a guillotine lock. Now unused, you can pass straight through it, but it was once a stop lock, used to make cargo boats pause while they paid a toll to the canal company. It's unique on the canal network and is a listed Grade 2 star structure. There's a winched counterweight mechanism on a chain to the gate. Scarlet Lady came through serenely, and I hopped aboard to ask Connor how he came to be a boat mover.
My grandparents lived on a boat for a number of years, and obviously as we were kids we always used to go on holiday on the boats and get stuck in. And a few years ago we had the chance to get our own boat. We got that, and first sort of 6 months couldn't sit still as you do. We did a big trip to Liverpool and obviously faced many challenges along the way, which was enjoyable but a bit stressful at the same time. And then when I got back to my home mooring, I decided that I liked the boats, and would there be a need for people who want their boats to be moved around the country, if they haven't got time and things. So I just advertised, and when this one chap popped up, and for the first sort of 3 months I was moving his boat around the marina for diesel and for pump out and things. And I just kept posting, and then it sort of blew up, and now I can't get a rest.
A nice position to be in. We were approaching the Brandwood Tunnel with its sadly graffitied sign. Carefully in, making sure no one was coming the other way. That's William Shakespeare, since the canal heads down to Stratford. Normally, a canal tunnel would be illuminated by your lamp at the bow, but this boat has a treat-in store. You see that giant hatch on the roof? It's actually glass, which means the ceiling lights from the saloon below shine through. Since those lights can glow in any colour, here blue, you get this eerie swimming pool effect, but what's more, they light up the roof of the tunnel, which looks nice and makes it easier to steer straight. It's not a long tunnel, so we were out in a jiffy. I popped down into the cabin to have a look around this award-winning boat, with a full tour coming in just a moment. You know, one of the pleasures I've discovered about not owning your own boat is the simple joy of being a passenger on other people's. It means that instead of having to stand out the back and steering, which is all good and fun and all that, but there is something nice about just being taken along for the ride, whether you are sitting out at the back or up at the bow, or as I am now, in the saloon, maybe with a nice cup of tea and something to read. And that brings me very nicely, as if it were planned, onto the topic of the sponsor of this video. Now, regular viewers may be scratching their heads slightly and saying, hang on, sponsors? David, you don't do sponsors. And you're right, normally, and up to this point, I never have done, because I've always said I will only do sponsorships for things that I genuinely like, and that is why I'm quite pleased to say that Readly have sponsored this video, because I really like Readly and I have paid money for Readly. And if you're unaware, Readly is a service that offers a vast library of magazines and newspapers which you can then read on your tablet, iPad, iPhone, whatever kind of phone you've got, whatever kind of tablet you've got. Basically, you run their app. And they've got, I think it's something like 7,000 or 8,000 newspapers, magazines. They've even added podcasts lately. And these are genuine high street magazines, all the big names that you would normally see and want to pick up and read. But they're all downloadable to your tablet. And for one genuinely very low monthly subscription, you get access to the lot, the entire library. So not only are you now being environmentally friendly by not actually having something printed on dead tree and printed as paper, you're digitally downloading it, but you've got this huge array of choice. For example, here I am on a narrowboat. You watching this are interested in narrowboats. Well, do you know what? They've got Canal Boat magazine. They've got Waterways World magazine. They've got Towpath Talk as well. And I'm also interested in cars, so I have a little look at my favourites here. I've got Autocar, I've got Auto Express, I've got What Car, I've got Evo, and these are all the same as the magazines you'd buy at the newsagent, but in digital form. It's not some weird web formatted version. It is the magazine. They've digitised it and put it on the device, and you just flip through the pages. And I tell you what else I really like. You can zoom them. And honestly, with my eyesight being what it is, the number of times when reading things, I have wanted to be able to zoom printed text. And you can on the blooming iPad. It makes life so much easier. Now, they're offering a 2-month free trial, cancel at any time. You just go on to Readly, give them your card details, sign up, and as I say, you get 2 months free. That is plenty of time to evaluate it, and you can cancel at any time, so it is a no-risk trial. I genuinely love Readly. I think it must have been invented by someone who lived in a small space, because it is ideal if you're on a boat or a camper van, or you're on holiday, or you're in a tiny home, which frankly most modern homes are. Instead of having piles of magazines around, you can just have them all on the iPad. And they've got the back catalogue as well. I mean, I know I'm kind of evangelising here, but that's because I do think it is genuinely good, and quite frankly, how they do it for the money, I do not know. So, 2 months free trial, cancel anytime. There's a link in the video description below. I wouldn't be pitching it to you if I didn't genuinely like it, so give it a go. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Have a look at Readly.
Time for that tour now, and this is a reverse layout narrowboat, which means the kitchen is at the back as you come in. There's an eye-level oven and grill, digital displays for all the gauges, and even webcam security. I waved to the owner. Heating is by radiator and a wood burner, which you'll see in a moment. There's the saloon with a sofa bed for guests. The wood burner is in the corner. Above is the glass hatch we saw going through the tunnel, with lighting all around the edges. The next cabin has bunk beds, which is unusual, a great way to maximise space. A walk-through bathroom follows with an incinerating toilet, which burns all the waste into ash. There's a lovely big shower. Finally, in the bow, right up to the end, is the master bedroom. A proper king-sized bed here, and a tiny hatch in the bulkhead, although you can't really see much even with the doors open. Storage in the bedroom is this wardrobe, and there's a TV and bookshelf to the left. We were travelling here through the outskirts of southeast Birmingham. I assumed Connor would travel light, hopping from boat to boat, but apparently not.
My luggage is quite bad. I have to carry sleeping bags and pillows and clothes and all that stuff. Then I have to carry a generator sometimes, depending on whether the boat's got power or not. Then I have to carry extra water. bag of tools just in case, jump leads. Then I have to carry kitchen stuff like my plate, my bowl, all the utensils. Then a bag of food. Then I have to carry ropes as well because I always carry spare ropes. There's sort of no end to what I have to carry. It's a bit of a nightmare, especially if I'm doing it on a train.
And I had to ask whether staying on board other people's boats was ever a bit, well, yucky.
It depends on the state of the boat. Some boats are very damp and horrible, and there's all sorts, yeah.
A fallen tree branch in the canal, together with a moored boat ahead, another tree sticking far out into the canal, and an oncoming boat might present a challenge. But Connor took it in his stride, of course, calmly guiding the boat through the obstructions with a gentle tweak of the tiller and throttle. The other boat paused by the towpath as we came through. Polite, calm boating, exactly as it should be. Connor told me about where and why he moves canal boats.
From marinas to marinas, sort of brokerage boats as well, some new buyers, first-time buyers. Also people that go out on holidays and they've only got sort of a few weeks, but they want to go so far and it's going to take them that long, so they then call someone like me to move it back for them. So there's a wide variety of reasons as well.
As we approached Lyons Boatyard round that corner, an arm off the canal to the left appears under this bridge. It doesn't go anywhere and seems to be at the end of a pub garden. There's the boatyard. You always need to approach wharves like this with caution and a slow speed, not only so as not to rock the moored boats, but because the space past them is always a bit tight, and you can't always see if anything's coming until it's too late. But they are fascinating places, little Aladdin's caves of boats and welding and chandlery bits. I'd like to own somewhere like this. Oh, look at the tiny butty boat. Adorable. It gets towed by the one in front. Connor told me a small boat was also one of the most unusual ones he's moved.
It was the other week actually. I moved a little 20-foot narrowboat and it had an outboard on the back of it. So that was interesting and definitely an experience. The way it steered, it was light, it just took a while to get used to because it's nothing like a narrowboat, like with a diesel engine, you know.
Me hearties! There must be nothing quite like the pleasure of a canal-side decking in your garden. Gin and tonic on a summer's evening? Don't mind if I do. It may be springtime, but I'm somewhat surprised this wood hasn't been snaffled for the fire by a keen boater. That's a water or gas pipe. You see a few of them around. The greenery is deceptive. You think you're in the countryside, but the graffiti reminds you this is the suburbs. Still delightful cruising though, and I wondered if anything could ever spoil the experience for my host.
Things going wrong. Engine problems is one of them. Sometimes I can sort it out myself. Other times I got a good friend actually. He's a very good engineer and he's always good to talk over the phone, and we usually sort it out between us.
We approached the lift bridge at Shirley. Even when they have electronic and hydraulic controls as here, it's a slow process getting through, which can mean interrupting road traffic. First, you need to bring the boat to a halt and tie it temporarily to the bollards on the bridge landing. Then you march up to the controls with your British Waterways key in hand. Turning the key activates the system and means you get to be in charge of the road as the siren sounds and the gates descend to block the traffic off. Then the bridge lifts while you hold the button. Once fully up, you have to scamper back, untie the boat and bring it through. I'm always painfully aware that there may be cars sitting waiting, thinking there's nothing happening because the pace is so genteel, but that's canals for you. At least Connor had the luxury of a bow thruster in this case. And as it happens, no one was waiting on this side anyway. Good name for a pub. Here he comes, straight as an arrow. Then of course you must stop on the other side, secure the boat and pop back to the control box, not only to lower the bridge, but to release your keys which are still in the machine. Dog walkers and cars were free to cross again. Off we pootled, and being somewhat mean, I asked Connor about the worst experiences he's had moving boats.
The other week, moving a Dutch barge, so we moved that from Copt Heath up to Wilton Marina. We got to Braunston and we were very, very low on diesel, but nowhere in Braunston had any diesel. So I checked the tank and we had tiniest amount in there, and I thought, we're a couple of miles away from Wilton, we might be alright. So we got halfway through Braunston Tunnel and the engine cut dead. So I was flashing my lights, beeping my horn, CRT volunteers at both ends. And then a boat coming from behind us, which I thought was Canal and River Chudds, but it actually turned out to be another narrowboat. And when they got to us, they tried to go around us thinking we were coming towards them, and I said, you're not going to get round us. I said, we're wide. So they said, oh, we'll push you out. So for 900 metres we were being pushed out of the tunnel by a narrowboat. And no, I won't be making that mistake again. Not in a rush anyway. The other one, I was coming up the River Nene on quite a windy day, and it was raining as well, and the engine kept dying on me, and I thought, this ain't good. So I rang my friend Rick and he said, check the water catcher at the bottom of the primary filter. And so I'm there in the middle of the River Nene with no engine power, going downstream, trying to get all the water and bleed the engine and get it started. So yeah, it's all fun and games when we're boat moving.
Another boat approached and we squeezed over to the shallow side, both craft passing with inches to spare between them, as is usual on the canals. If only the clouds had been thinner, this would have been absolutely lovely. One definitely lovely thing about canal boating is spotting what people have done in their gardens, such as this splendid bird feeder. We didn't know it, but there was a fishing competition taking place ahead, though the competitors were a friendly lot and moved their rods in plenty of time. These are the last houses before the landscape gives way to fields and open countryside as you come towards Earlswood. It is a law of narrowboating that when you meet another boat, it will always be on a corner with overhanging trees and little room to manoeuvre. This one approaching was a hire boat, so they may or may not be experienced and confident. Connor gave them as much space as possible without wishing to take his customer's boat into the trees, and in fact the other boat did a perfect pass. I wasn't going to stay aboard for the entire day and had spotted a good place to get a train back home a little further on. But before I departed, I asked Connor what he liked most about the job.
I enjoy the peace. I enjoy sort of being out, just admiring the countryside and all the different boats and the community as well. I love the community, and I'll get a lot of side hatches opening all the time with people waving and that, so all that makes my day.
My departure point was in sight, Lady Lane Wharf. There's a boat moored here that Connor had moved, so he waved at it as we passed. We pointed the bow into the bank and Connor stepped off with the centreline to moor up for lunch. I'd had a splendid day, both as a passenger just enjoying the trip and also chatting to Connor about his love of the waterways. He posts a lot on Instagram, so if you enjoy canal boat pictures, give him a follow. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.